So Kelvin Gastelum is injured and out of his fight against Imavov in the first UFC card of 2023, and now Sean Strickland has stepped in on very short notice to save the day, the week of the fight, and will now be taking on Nassourdine Imavov in the new main event at 205 pounds, because of course he can't make middleweight on short notice. And UFC 2023 is off to an amazing start. This is a really bad omen, in my opinion, for how the rest of this year is going to go. And I'm just hoping at this point that there's still a UFC in 2024. I don't know what's going on this year, but it just seems to get worse and worse for the UFC. However, I am going to say this. This is a better main event. The card actually got kind of saved. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about there being like a short notice replacement, but when the short notice replacement is equal to or better than the original matchup, the fact that someone pulled out and a new guy stepped in, it just makes it more exciting on fight week. So I don't even mind this situation happening, but you've got to admit what has been going on with the UFC recently. They can't seem to keep a card together. We already lost Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal in the co-main event. And now we've got Gastelum out of the main event. And normally you'd say, well, a middleweight is out of their fight in the main event. Call Kelvin Gastelum, but he's the one injured. So I guess the new saying is, call Sean Strickland and he will step in and take on Imavov at 205 pounds. I think this is a more competitive matchup, I will say. My prediction has not changed. I'm still going to go with Nassourdine Imavov, I believe, because Sean Strickland is not going to be prepared. Listen, I truly believe, and I'm not just saying this, sure, you could say Sean Strickland would have taken this fight anyway. I can't help but notice that just yesterday, he destroyed his motorbike, which is no doubt pretty expensive. And then he must have got a call the next morning saying, hey, Kelvin Gastelum's not looking like he's going to make the main event this weekend. Would you like to take the fight? And he's like, yeah, wow, sure, man. Yeah, I'll take it. I just wrecked my motorbike. I'll take the money. And I mean, I feel like he's just sort of taken this because he's just sort of saw this as like a sign from God that said, oh, here's the money for that motorbike you just wrecked into a tree, which is all over his Instagram recently, which I checked as soon as this fight was announced. But yeah, first of all, thank you, Sean Strickland. He will now be the fight night. He'll have 2 fight night main events in a row, which I believe has never been done before. If I'm not mistaken, has never been done before. So if it hasn't, and he's the first one to do that, major call points for Sean Strickland, because I don't remember any other instance of a fighter taking on 2 main events. I know Figueiredo did it last year where he was like the main event of a fight night, or he was on a pay-per-view and then he was the main event of the December pay-per-view afterwards. 2 pay-per-view main events or 2 pay-per-view cards back-to-back as a champion defending their belt. But we've never had this before. 2 cards back-to-back. Sean Strickland is the main event. Pretty ridiculous. He ends last year with Jared Cannonier, and he starts the new year with Nassourdine Imavov. I still believe Imavov's going to beat him, but I'm happy about this, man. We needed a bit of chaos. I wasn't feeling normal. You know, I was looking at the main event. I was saying, man, a UFC main event staying together? What's going on there? Something's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, what do you know? Kelvin Gastelum, apparently, his injury was an injury to the mouth. Someone threw a knee at him in sparring or something like that. So, mouth injury. Photo showed missing a front tooth. I think someone hit him with a knee in sparring. And by the way, why are you throwing knees against your guy when he's got a fight coming up the weekend? Like, why are you trying to... You're not Dan Hooker in a fight. You know what I mean? Why are we trying to time knees on Kelvin Gastelum's face, like on fight week of his fight when he hasn't had a fight in so long? I have no idea why, but I guess this is how it is. Bad for Kelvin Gastelum, silly situation for him to be in, but Strickland stepping in, and I think it's a much more compelling matchup. I just think the things that I would rely on Sean Strickland to use to win this fight, I would worry about it because of the fact that he's taken this fight on short notice. The reason why I would think Sean Strickland would beat Nassourdine Imavov would be because he has great takedown defense when he prepares for a grappler. Okay? Great takedown defense when he is prepared for a grappler. And he does have really good cardio and he can push a good pace for 5 rounds. Okay? So that's why I would sort of like him to win this 5-round main event. But because he's taken it on short notice, and he's no doubt been enjoying himself because he's not able to make weight, and he's not the biggest of middleweights anyway, and he's made this at 205 pounds, I'm not trusting him to be able to push that same pace as he would be able to if he was on a full camp, nor am I going to trust him to have the takedown defense that he needs after a good training camp against a grappler, preparing himself for a grappler like Nassourdine Imavov. So I think this is all for Nassourdine Imavov to take advantage of. I think Imavov's one of these newer guys, and I think like maybe there's one of those sort of disconnects that there could be in the lightweight division right now, where some of the lower ranked guys are actually better than some of the higher ranked guys, and you don't quite notice that because there's not a lot of movement between the division. But yeah, I'm going to pick Nassourdine Imavov to win. I don't mind Strickland's chances. I'm rooting for Sean Strickland. To be honest, I'm just really looking forward to his press conference, which surely is going to be out within the next few days. And let's be real. Again, this is more interesting. It's more interesting as a main event than Kelvin Gastelum. Like Kelvin Gastelum would say, hey, you know, I wanted to come back and look good. Hey, and all this type of stuff in his press conference, and just be generic and say that he's trained really hard and he can't lose and he's here to win on Saturday night and all this type of stuff. And Imavov's a tough opponent, but I want to hear about Sean Strickland. You know what I mean? That's going to be a more entertaining press conference leading up to the fight. And no doubt that's going to get a couple of 100,000 views. He saves the card. And for Sean Strickland, why would he take this fight? I don't know. I think he lives a very expensive lifestyle. A lot of his hobbies that he has, with the boating and the motorbiking and the shooting, and he seems to spend a lot of money to have an enjoyable life for himself. And he seems to do a lot of damage to his property and stuff like that. Like, all the time on his Instagram, you seem to see him like, what the hell? This guy is posting a sponsor for something. And then you go to Sean Strickland's Instagram and it's him trying to fix a boat that's capsized or something along those lines. Or, again, you go to Sean Strickland's Instagram and it's just like, oh, Sean Strickland's bike is intertwined with a tree. That's ruined. You know what I mean? So he's gonna have to pay for that as well. And now he's got another main event. I seriously think he's thinking to himself, I just need another paycheck right now, and I want to make more money. I made half my paycheck against Jared Cannonier. I didn't like that I made half my paycheck because he thought that he won that fight, and it was a very close fight. And now he's looking to get back in there. And if he wins, and he does the UFC this favor, it's going to pay off. Let's be real. They're going to give him another guy up the top of the rankings. And this might be the type of fight, just saying, that Paulo Costa looks at and thinks, I could beat this guy in a 3-round main card fight of a pay-per-view. I'll take this risk rather than Whittaker to try and end off my contract and get free from the UFC. So there will be a higher ranked guy available for Sean... Why did I say it like that? Available for Sean Strickland if he does get this win. But for Nassourdine Imavov, this is a better situation. I hope that they don't look at this as a fight at 205 and say, well, it happened at 205, so we're not going to change the rankings at middleweight. No. Treat this as a fight at middleweight. Let's get this movement going, because Imavov does need to get towards the top of the middleweight division if he does win. And for Imavov, you're like, well, I was preparing for a number 13 guy on a full camp, and now you're telling me I'm getting number 7? You know what I mean? Almost half the ranking number of Kelvin Gastelum. Now I'm getting number 7 on very short notice, and there's no way he's prepared, and there's no way he's been drilling takedown defense. He didn't do it for his last fight against Jared Cannonier, and there's no way he's going to be able to bring in some kind of wrestler to prepare him for my style on short notice. There's no way he's going to be in great shape. He already said he can't make weight and has to do it at 205. I don't think I have to worry about his pace too much. So this is just going to be a technical striking match between Imavov and Strickland. And I think Imavov's got him. I do. I really think he does. Maybe on full camp I'd say otherwise. Honestly, I will say this. On full camp, I think Strickland does beat Imavov. I'll say that. On full camp, Strickland beats Imavov. But under these circumstances, I don't like it for Strickland, dude. No doubt he's been taking some time off over Christmas. You know, just enjoying the holidays, having Christmas, celebrating over New Year's and stuff like that. And it's just concerning. It's concerning. All I'm seeing of him is him complaining about a decision on Instagram or riding motorbikes all over the country. And like setting up his motorbike and getting drone shots of his motorbike and stuff like that. Like, he's not been prepared. And Nassourdine Imavov, this is all he's thinking about. So I'm going to side with Imavov. I think he wins. And we'll see how it goes this weekend. But really looking forward to it. Fuck Gastelum, dude. But what's next for Gastelum? Yeah. If Till don't want to go back down to welterweight, there's a Gastelum-Till rematch that could be done. Number 13 Gastelum versus number 15 Till. It was a split decision last time. It was a very close fight. It was a very boring fight. I get that, but they're both now injured around the same time, so they're going to be coming back around the same time as well. So maybe you could run back that fight, but for Kelvin, yeah, it's not looking good because, well, you did dodge a bullet in Imavov, really, because he is a really dangerous matchup, but there's only going to be someone more dangerous on the horizon looking to make their name in the division that now Kelvin Gastelum is going to be fed to as like a stepping stone. So, yeah, not good for Kelvin. But UFC, innit? Nothing goes right. There's always a bunch of chaos that you don't expect. And here we are. I'm going with Imavov via body shot. I think he finds that body shot that he's been looking for in his last few fights. And I think he's going to put away Strickland. I do. Cannonier looked so basic and bad in that Strickland fight, I think. And I know Strickland can kind of do that to you. But with Imavov's footwork heavy style and he's bouncing in like a karate style range, like MVP and stuff like that, I think he's going to be able to sort of get in and land those shots and dip out again and wrestle if he wants to. Because again, Strickland has not been wrestling. You know that he hasn't. So he's taking a big gamble here because if he loses, Strickland's in a must-win situation as well. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.